Hello and welcome to Building the Premier Accounting Firm. I'm your host, Roger Knecht, president of Universal Accounting Center, and for more than 20 years, I've been working with accounting professionals to help them both start and build their accounting firms, offering quality services ranging from bookkeeping, accounting, tax planning and preparation, to CFO and advisory services. And I invite you to actually listen and join us each and every week, because as a podcast, I have on the experts each week to share with us insights related to things that range from marketing, selling, pricing, to offering quality accounting services, the related tech stacks that we may be using, as well as client retention and onboarding strategies, all the things that are relevant to the things that we experience as we're running and operating our businesses to ensure that you're getting paid what you're worth offering quality accounting services. So with that being said, today's going to be no exception. I'm excited to actually announce that our guest today is Loren Fogelman. She is a keynote speaker and one of America's top-ranked business coaches. From 2018 to 2022, Loren's steadily been recognized by HubSpot in its annual list of world's top 22 business coaches. She delivers talks and workshops across the United States at major conferences such as Inbound, one of the world's most esteemed content marketing events for entrepreneurs, as well as many niche accounting conferences. Loren is an expert in price strategy and sales for accounting professionals. She coaches them to shift away from the dollars per hour pricing trap to a value-based pricing model. This allows her clients to reduce workload by as much as 50% while doubling revenues. She's also a regular contributor to Intuit's Firm of the Future series, Accounting Web, and the author of 2 Amazon best-selling books, The Winning Point, How to Master the Mindset of Champions, and The Success Solution, Breakthrough Limiting Beliefs for Business Success. So Loren, welcome to the show.
Roger, I am so ready to dig into our conversation today.
This is going to be amazing. So first things first, I always like to just start with what drew you to the accounting profession? How did you get started? What got you to this space?
I think that my evolution has been convoluted. And what I would say is, first of all, I come from a family of accounting professionals, even though I'm not one myself. My mom always spread out all the tax forms on our kitchen table for a week or two and did her taxes. My brother's a CPA. My son-in-law is a CPA. My sister-in-law is an EA. I have been surrounded by accounting professionals. And what I have seen is that they are actually unsung heroes, where they do so much for their clients. And a lot of times their clients don't recognize how much they do for them. So their work tends to be undervalued. And I'm on a mission to change that. Well,
it's a good mission. This conversation we're going to have today about pricing and so forth is something I regularly speak with people about, because there's this challenge of how to price my services. How do I determine the value or worth of my services? I mean, at every conference you and I are attending, there's always some conversation about transitioning from hourly to value-based pricing. I mean, there's so much we're going to talk about today. So let's kind of start with that. I know that your premise is one of those things of doubling their income while working half the time. What does that phrase mean?
Well, basically what I feel is when you charge the traditional way, usually starting out with an hourly rate, or eventually moving to fixed fees, it actually creates a tug of war between you and your clients, because your clients want you to work as quickly as possible, to pay as little as possible. And you're on the other end of the rope, where you're not incentivized for efficiency and speed, and maybe adding in new tech that will help to get things done faster, because the faster you work, the less your money you make. In fact, I just spoke to an accounting professional this week that originally was getting paid $300 a month by one client. And because she got things cleaned up, there were more efficiencies. That client is now paying her only $50 a month. And that is wrong. And I hear stuff like this all the time. So what I want to talk about really, and I'm on this bandwagon for, is let's separate our fees from what's important to you and you value, which is your time and your cost and maybe some profit margin. And let's start focusing on what the client values, which is results. And they will pay more for results, which emphasizes your expertise, than the tasks you're doing to achieve those results.
Perfect. I really appreciate the story you shared there, because I know there's so many that can relate to that. Hopefully not the $50 an hour or the $50 for the monthly fee.
I know.
But the point is so true. What I would like to add to this is although I think there are occasions where hourly billing is appropriate, and I can go down that path. The point is I do believe people need to transition away from it because you said it so well. What we need is to have motivation in our practice to figure out what can we do to be more efficient doing the same work. That's our motivation. And therefore, if I can be charging the 300, 500, the 1,000, the $3,000 a month for the services we're providing and find a better way to be more efficient and effective with my time, I don't lessen the fee I was charging. I've increased now my profit margin for the work I was already delivering, being more efficient and effective at doing so. So I love what we're already starting with here. So let me just kind of break in. Are there times to charge hourly in your mind? I know for me, there's a few examples of where I feel it's appropriate.
I think the main thing is that I am open to everything. There's no right or wrong.
Uh-huh.
I personally am a fan of fixed fees as opposed to an hourly rate because I
Love
believe
it.
an hourly rate commoditizes your services and it
Yes.
emphasizes the technical parts of what you do as opposed to the outcomes. Therefore, I prefer not to encourage anybody to charge an hourly fee, but there's always going to be exceptions to everything. So my feeling is that if you are doing it and you feel that that's the right way, then I respect you as being the expert in your business and doing what works for you. But I think also the reason that people charge an hourly rate to begin with is because most of us started out as employees where our income was always tied to our time, whether it
Yeah.
was what we were paid by the hour or a salary. And when we start being firm owners, there's a steep learning curve with everything in the beginning. So we just go with what we've always done because it's easier, the path of least resistance. But I will simply say overall, I think that when you charge an hourly rate, it commoditizes your service. You'll always have to remain price competitive and it diminishes your expertise.
Perfect. No, I couldn't agree more. That's phenomenal because the hourly is unfortunately the commoditization of the services that we're providing. And so we've definitely got to move past that. And when we do, let me just kind of throw on the table here for the listeners different pricing strategies that I see very
Mhm.
common in the accounting space. And let's discuss the value base that you're mentioning. So, first of all, hourly, we've already addressed that. From that, you typically will find people moving to what you just mentioned, fixed rate. So we can talk about that if we wanted. The next, typically from that, is menu-based pricing. That's oftentimes, in my opinion, confused with value-based, but it's menu-based pricing. And then after that, some people actually will do revenue-based pricing. And then lastly happens to be value-based pricing. Uh, let's get a definition for value-based. What is that? What do you mean by it when you say you're helping people double their income when they're able to move away from the hourly mindset to the value-based price set?
I think there's two things that I want to emphasize about value versus hourly or fixed fee.
Okay,
When you're talking about hourly and fixed fee, you're pricing according to what is valuable to you, which is your time and your cost, because you've invested time, money, and energy to getting to where you are and having a business. So that's really basing your prices on what you care about. When you're looking at value based pricing, then you're focusing on what is of value to the client. It's a little bit of a paradigm shift because now you have to figure out what it is that they care about and the value from their point of view. But when you do that, you're actually able to charge 2 to 3 times more than when you're basing your fees on your time, cost, and that little bit of profit margin.
perfect. So are there steps you can take to actually move in that direction?
There are, Roger. Would you like me to share them with you?
Yes, please. I mean, what is that process?
Okay, so this is similar to when you first start learning how to ride a bicycle. In the
Okay,
beginning, you have on those training wheels because you're a little bit shaky and you haven't figured out how to have balance on a two-wheel bicycle. Well, what I'm going to share is the steps towards value-based pricing. What you want to do in the beginning is have what I call good, better, and best pricing tiers. And in the beginning, we're going to start off with the good. You're going to have new clients coming to you. And what you're going to do is come up with that initial fixed fee that you originally would have charged them, typically calculating how much time you thought it would take, by your hourly rate, and you come up with that fixed fee. But now we're going to give them your new good rate. We are going to take that fixed fee you came up with and multiply it by 1.5. That is your new good rate. And then you're going to enroll 3 people at this new good rate that you have. By doing this, it gets you aware that people aren't as price sensitive as you thought that they were, and you're starting to bump up your revenues. Then after you enroll 3 new people at your new good rate, we're going to go up to tier 2, and that is going to be your better rate. Once again, you're going to have people come to you, calculate what you originally would have charged with that fixed fee, and now we're going to multiply it by 2x. By multiplying it by 2x, that means you're earning double now than what you originally would have charged. No additional time spent working. This is how we're starting to double your revenues. So at this point, you're going to enroll 3 new people again. You're going to get better at having that enrolling conversation and understanding the value from their point of view. And you're going to start working with better clients. After you enroll those 3 people, we're bumping up to tier 3. This is going to be your best rates. And there'll be people coming to you, come up with that initial flat fee you were going to offer. Now we're going to multiply it by 3x. And I'm going to let you know that this takes courage, not confidence. You might be shaking in your boots the very first time that you do this, but trust me, it works. I've proven it over and over and over again with accounting professionals. It works. So by doing this, working with a higher quality client who values you, respects you, does not text you on Saturday night at 8 p.m. expecting you to immediately stop everything and text them back in 15 minutes, you have a better quality client. And because of that, you can now do higher level work with them, the advisory services that you didn't have time for. Maybe you don't need as many clients as you did before because you are bringing in the revenues with less people. They're paying you more, and it gives you back your quality of life. So this is the way to begin moving away from value or fixed fees towards from an hourly or fixed fees towards value pricing, is doing the good, better, best model, and by gradually bumping up from one tier to the next.
First of all, I appreciate the simplicity of this. I mean, you obviously had a 3-step process that anyone can follow that's very clear. And I think more than anything, it's that confidence builder, isn't it? It's basically they're able to see, my heavens, I've got 3 people that are now paying 1.5 times what I would have offered and asked for. Now I've got 3 people paying me double what I would have asked for. And so it's that confidence builder that the market will actually sustain that type of demand. So I like that. So what are some of the common objections or challenges accounting professionals have that they've expressed to you at increasing their profits? Sometimes there's a mindset that goes with, should I really be charging that much? Am I worth that much? How do you address that?
Okay, for anybody that is listening, think about what the resistance is if I told you right now to 3x your rates immediately. And think about what comes up for you. That is the mindset piece, is that we get worried about losing clients. The fact that there might be pushback, which feels confrontational to you. It is a difficult conversation. You want people to like you. You think that you need to enroll everybody, and that's having a great sales record. So those are some of the things that come up. The other part is that in order to really start moving in this direction, you have to connect with your value before you can expect anybody else to recognize the value that you offer. Or maybe you believe that you live in a rural community and that clients are price sensitive, they won't pay that much. I will let you know, I have worked with people all over in cities as well as small country towns, and they have been able to move forward in this direction. And I will also say the other thing is your rates are usually a reflection of your self-worth. So you have low rates, it's a reflection that you really don't value your own services very much. If you have higher rates, it's a reflection that you recognize some of the value that you bring to the table.
I'm glad you brought up mindset when you were describing that, because I do think it is a mindset. Some of it's just our personal worth. When we look in the mirror, what we feel we bring to the table, what it is that we're doing for the clients. And too often, I think we undervalue the impact we can have on our clients and help them in their businesses. And that's really where I think sometimes we can recognize maybe I do need to be doing more for my clients because the value I'm bringing isn't enough and I need to increase it. So I like that mindset. The second thing I'd also point out is there is something, maybe it's vanity. I don't know. It's definitely not sanity, but it's the idea of I've got more clients, more clients, more clients. When in reality, what if, using your explanation, what if I had a third of the clients, but they were all paying me 3 times as much? I mean, what doesn't that logically make sense? But yet when I've had that conversation with accounting professionals, sometimes it's like deer in the headlight moment. What? I can make the same amount of money working with a third or half the client base because I'm charging double or triple my, and they kind of pause, they choke on that, but it is the reality. I mean, you don't have to have that many clients and work that hard to make this much money. So that's kind of interesting.
Wait. I want to add something to that.
Yeah.
So we're talking about either the Walmart or the Macy's approach to things. With Walmart, you want to just crank out as many 1099s in January as you possibly can, or do 1,000 tax returns, because it's all about the transaction, the volume, and the numbers. Whereas when you're moving away from wanting to work with everybody and do everything that they ask you to, then you're able to actually go deeper into the value of what you can offer a client and focus on the relationship and the service delivery. I think the other part that I look at is I will ask people when I'm initially talking with them about how many potential new clients they have to speak with, how many consultations before they enroll a new client into their firm. And if they tell me it's 100%, then I know that their rates are too low.
Well, that's an easy indication of
Yes, it
that. I
is.
mean, if
Yep.
everybody's saying yes, there's like, okay,
Yeah.
maybe I'm giving away a little bit too much here. But no, that's a great indicator. Here's the next question, though. Oftentimes, when working with established firms, they obviously already have an established client base. Here you are now helping them realize that as they acquire new clients, they can implement this strategy to increase their rates and so forth. How do they go backwards to their current client base? That's a common conversation I'm
Mhm.
having where people are saying, okay, I can see how moving forward I can implement this, but how do I go back to my, for lack of a better term, legacy clients and actually implement this with them? What
Mhm.
comments would you have to that?
Well, actually, I'm going to share a process because I can, give comments, but it doesn't really give you any to-do steps. I want people to really walk away from our conversation today, Roger, with one tip that they can take and actually implement. And this is how to start going back, because I agree. New clients, it's easier to show them your new rates because they don't have any history with you. Older clients, they've been with you for a while, especially those legacy clients right from the beginning. You have a relationship, there's an emotional attachment. You don't want to upset them. You think that they're cheap anyway. So we need to actually get your legacy or current clients up to your new rates. Otherwise, you have two different business models in your firm, and that's not very effective or efficient. So this is the way to start going back and getting your current clients up to your new rates, is by first you want to communicate to them that you're making some changes in your business model. You can either do this by email or by snail mail, however you typically communicate with your clients. Most of my clients are using email. Then in that communication, you want to let them know that you're going to be reaching out to them to have a conversation. So this first step will be the communication. The next thing will be the calendar. You want to have someone on your team, if you can, otherwise you reach out and get an appointment on the calendar. Then the third step is having what I call a value conversation. This is where you're having a meeting with them and you're focusing on what is important to them. Maybe you're going to find out what it is that they want to achieve over the next 12 months. Identify some of the KPIs or key performance indicators that will help them achieve those results, possibly why this is important, and what are the concerns they have maybe about not reaching those particular metrics that they set for themselves. So that starts to have what I call a value conversation, where you don't have to pitch or enroll anybody into working with you or getting them up to your new rates. The fourth step is that you want to be ready for some pushback because they've been working with you for a while. This is a little bit new. People don't like change. They like the status quo, and they might have some objections about moving forward in this way. So instead of this throwing you off track because you feel now it got confrontational and you close down the conversation or just cave in to how you've always been doing things, what you want to do is come up with maybe the top 3, possibly 5 objections that your clients might give you, and think about what they are before you have this conversation. Then write down what it is that you might want to respond to. So write down that soundbite of how you would like to respond to that, which helps you prepare. And then I would actually say take it to an advanced move and actually practice saying that out loud, that soundbite, because how you write it down and how you actually speak it are 2 different things.
Yeah.
And I want this to flow from you instead of sounding scripted. So we've got to the point where you're going to do a communication with them, probably an email, get something on the calendar, and have a conversation. You're going to have the value conversation. You're going to be prepared for some pushback. And then afterwards, you're going to discuss the different choices or options on how to move forward together. So this is where you're not giving them just one choice. I teach my clients to create 3 package options, and then you discuss with them from an advisory position of which one you feel might be a best fit for them. So that's the way to start moving your current clients from where they are with their old rates into your new package and pricing, so that you have everybody on the same page and not 2 different business models.
Perfect. The steps I really appreciate. I'm going to add to it a few things real quickly, if I may. One is I've experienced the letter side of this over the last 6 months or so from a number of my own vendors where they've emailed me, mailed me a notification of price changes and increases. And I've been dealing with that, as many of us have, through this inflation issue that we've all been experiencing. And it's been, one notification after another of some increase that's substantial, nothing small at all. And each of these things come and it's basically a letter. So I liked how you then said getting something on the calendar. A lot of the work that we're doing is relationship based. And so it's very important that more than just the letter of a notification of the change, that you're getting on the calendar, as you said, that meeting. The other part that I really liked is you were talking through, okay, what may be those things that they may say as they ask why. They're going to ask for a justification. Can you tell me why? And it's not so much what your answer is, but I liked how you were saying, write it down, verbally say it out loud, get comfortable with your responses, because it's inevitable. They're going to ask. I mean, most of them will ask. But here's the thing that I would add to this, and it's something I've done with a lot of my clients that I felt has really made the difference. Just because it's a confidence builder, in my opinion, that has helped them feel better about this price change with these clients that they've had for time, for years perhaps. And it's basically, what added value might we add to the offering that they currently aren't receiving, that we can say that with this increase, this is what we're also going to be doing for you. And that's one of the things that I've actually felt really good about, because as I've seen the accounting professional try and justify in their own mind how they're going to justify this increase, if they can incorporate, in addition to the current services, something new, it does cause them to feel better about that increase. Now, obviously, the increase needs to not just be an increase in the sense that it's going to pay you more, but it also should cover whatever value, if there is a cost associated with that new additional add-on service. But the point is at the end of the day, I agree with you. You're able to actually go back to these legacy clients, actually change that relationship for the better, cause them to have that increase. And I think this is a healthy exercise to do on a regular basis. Yearly is very appropriate, but we all should be assessing what is our margin that we're getting from the services we're providing. And like all of our clients are told by us, I presume, is assess whether or not there is a need for an increase because of expenses changing and such. So we should be basically practicing what we preach with our own clients.
Okay, I'm going to push back on what you just said
Please
with
do.
expenses changing. If you're value pricing your services, you have such a great margin that those small incremental changes in your costs don't really make a difference. You can easily absorb them. So I just want to put that out there, is with value pricing, you have a great profit margin, and you want to be looking at raising your rates because of the expertise and the solutions that you bring to your clients as opposed to your own time and cost. But I also want to share an email that I just got yesterday
Okay.
that followed exactly what we just talked about. And it says, wanted to share two quick successes, just raised a client from $4,000 to $7,500. He agreed and picked up a new client for a $3,000 fee, would have done that for about $1,500 previously. And this is from an enrolled agent. So wanted to just share. It's something I don't just talk about. My clients implement. They get the results, and it's a game changer for them.
Perfect. I love the story illustration. That's an excellent example. Very timely. So let's talk about value. We keep throwing this word value out there. Is value anything that we can actually give a quantitative number to and create a metric around to calculate?
Yes and no. It's definitely a combination of art and science. So it is messy, as opposed to formulaic, which is sending out invoices based on your time multiplied by your hourly rate. What I would say is the essence of value pricing, and this is really the essence, is the client needs to believe that the value they receive from working with you is greater than the fees they are paying you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to just say that once again. Value from a client's point of view is they need to believe that the value they receive is greater than the fees that they are paying you. That is the essence of value pricing. Now, the other part, as I mentioned, is value is subjective. What you value about your services and what your clients value will be two different things. So this is similar to building a house. If you're having a house built, you don't really care what vendor they used to get their lumber from, or whether they used 10,000 nails or 20,000 nails. You're not buying it for the inputs that go into that house. What the value of the house is going on closing day to sign the papers, get the keys to your new home that you have been saving years to finally have, and being able to finally move into a home that you now own. Instead of paying someone else's mortgage, you're paying towards your own home ownership. And that is the value, is the output, the finally moving into that new home that you've been wanting to have for a long, long time, as opposed to who they used as far as vendors, whether they had W-2s or 1099s on the job building the house. Those things aren't really important to you as much as the home ownership.
So that being said, is there a good way to communicate the value? What insights
Yes.
could you give us on that?
Yes. So what I was talking about before with the value conversation, this is something you can have with potential new clients coming to you when you're first doing that free consult, or you're meeting with a current client wanting to get them up to your new fees. Is you want to focus on what is important to them. So you want to ask them, what is it that they want to achieve over the next 12 months? Find out what the metrics are that would help them know if they achieve those results or not, because those are things that you can start to give them insights on and possibly track for them. Find out what this is worth to them. If they were able to achieve this thing, how does this make a difference? What would they be able to do that they couldn't currently do now? Why this matters to them? Because it's not just about doing more or offering more. There's a reason usually behind it. And the other thing I want to say is, as you're hearing these things, think about from your experience, what maybe are some things that they're overlooking or they don't even know to consider because they haven't been at that place yet. But you work with many different businesses that many different parts of their growth trajectory. So take what you know from maybe another client who's a little further advanced and give them some insights or things to consider. And then after that, you want to talk about the options about how to move forward and accomplish this together. So by doing this, they see you as a partner helping them achieve something that's future focused, and you're using all the data that you have and the resources to help them achieve that, and that's where your value comes in.
Very good. So I'm curious. I've worked with accounting professionals. You've worked with accounting professionals. As we have these conversations with them to help them realize that they can and should be charging more, that they're worth it, what are some of the mindsets that you've actually dealt with where the person maybe gives some kickback of, am I really worth it? I don't know that I can ask that. The marketplace here won't support it. How do you deal with that mental block and help them get past that?
Well, I think the first thing I need to share is I'm a sports psychologist turned business coach. And and as a sports psychologist, I worked with high-ranking athletes on their mindset all the time in order to improve their performance and be at the top of their game. I recognize that a lot of times we know what we want, but we don't know how to get that. Or we have a certain belief that is creating resistance and keeping us from moving forward. And because that we overthink things, we avoid things, we focus on the busy work instead of something that might actually make a difference in our firm or raise the bar. I know also for a fact that raising your rates is one of the most difficult things you can do in your firm. Accounting professionals will think months or even years or never. They'll think about it, but they'll never do it. So, what we need to do is once again recognize that you need to connect with your value before you can expect your clients to see the value that you offer. This is something that takes courage, not confidence. The confidence comes later, and that you might have dabbled in it and maybe you didn't get the success or a client left you. So you saw this as being a failure. Well, I want to let you know that even when you fail at something, there are so many successes that are actually part of that outcome. You just didn't get the outcome that you wanted. But the fact that you attempted to do something that challenged your comfort zone is really a sign of success, and that we just need to maybe modify or look at what part didn't go well and then fix that one piece. It isn't a zero sum game where you're either succeeding or failing. So it's some of those things. And I think it's similar to your clients. Your clients come to you because you are the expert regarding their financials and helping them with their profitability and cash flow and staying current with their taxes. I will say that you might not be an expert when it comes to how to price your services or enroll new clients because they don't teach pricing or sales in most business schools. So I'm going to say if this is something you want and you know that you've been tolerating the status quo for too long and you don't want to do that any longer because you're at your own capacity, then find someone that you feel can help you do these things in order to be able to break through what I call that upper limit challenge. And the upper limit challenge is where you can't increase your revenues any longer because you're at capacity as far as the hours that you can
Yeah.
devote to your business.
I really appreciate that because I think we all need to recognize that we don't know what we don't know. And oftentimes we think that this is a new problem that no one else has faced. And I'm uniquely in this situation. When in reality, there's a lot of people that have already gone through this process. They have a lot to share. And if we can tap into that expertise and that coaching, it does help us not only kind of avoid some of the problems along the way, but I think it also accelerates the likelihood of success implementing these strategies that we realize we have to do, we need to do. We have to change the business model that we're currently operating under because we've got to grow and to tap into these proven processes. They make the process not only more likely to be a success, but accelerate the experience. So I like how you're describing that. So I want to go to your two books now. You've written two books, and I think both of these books apply to what we're talking about right now, which is mindset. You've got The Winning Point, How to Master Your Mindset of Champions. What's a big principle from that that you feel applies to this pricing discussion that accounting professionals experience?
Well, the two books, The Success Solution and The Winning Point, are actually sister books. They're very similar. It's just one is written for athletes who are looking to be at the top of their game and know that they're getting in their own way. And The Success Solution is for business owners who also realize that they are holding themselves back and that they are probably the bottleneck to their own business success. So I did want to say that they are very similar. They're just written for different audiences. And I would say the main thing to recognize is that, let me just think. I'm going to give it an example. Is first of all, owning a firm is something that will challenge your limits. It's different than, it's a lot riskier than being a W-2 and working for somebody else. And as you're moving forward with your growth in your firm and on this trajectory, what's going to happen is eventually you're going to hit a brick wall. And I do talk about that in the book, The Success Solution and the Winning Point as well. And this is the mindset piece. When you hit that brick wall, you're going to have one of three responses. One type of person is going to slam into that brick wall and they're going to raise their hands and say, I wasn't meant to be doing this. I need to go back to how things always were because they were good enough. And I call those people retreaters. They'd rather stay with the status quo because it's predictable and feels less risky than continuing to move forward with something new. And then there's going to be that second type of person who, once again, also slams into that brick wall and they're going to say, okay, let me do more research. I need to think about that. I need to find other ways and make a plan and maybe put it all down on my Excel spreadsheet to have it mapped out. And then I'll go back and start doing that. And those are the people that I call the marinators. They need to let things sink in before they're ready to start moving forward again. But what happened with them is they actually stopped before they start, so they lose their momentum, which affects the timeline and trajectory of their business. And then the third person is going to once again also slam into that brick wall. And that person is going to say, okay, I need to recalibrate. This is like an airplane being a little bit off of its route because of wind shear. And I just need to modify and get back on my course again and make some adjustments. But I'm going to keep on going no matter what. So I'm going to go ahead and make adjustments as I'm moving forward. And that person is an implementer. And those are the people that we all look up to that are at the top of their field, the ones we admire, the ones that have the most success, is that they recognize that things do happen, but they don't see it as success or failure. They just see it as course corrections that they need to make along the way because they just haven't been at that place yet and they need to figure it out. So that's one of the things to realize is that most people are either retreaters, they're marinators, or they're implementers. Neither one is right or wrong. And sometimes you might be an implementer for one and a marinator for another. So we go back and forth depending on how committed we are to something. And if you're not satisfied with where you are, then you have actually the ability to change that and get to the point of where you want to be. But sometimes you just can't do it yourself.
Those are three good little descriptions of what people will typically experience. Yeah, I like that. I'm going to switch gears now to go to presenting. You've obviously spoken on stage. You've spoken at conferences. Some of the people that are listening have interest to not just speak on stage, but perhaps conduct maybe trainings, seminars, workshops for their clients and so forth. What advice would you have for someone that is wanting to get into that speaking space, even, the professional speaking space perhaps, but being on stage, it does bring a new dynamic. You know your stuff, but now you got to put it on, under the lights, if you will. And I just was wondering what kind of thoughts you might have for anyone listening.
Well, I want to let you know when I first moved in this direction, 2009, I had a fear of public speaking. And I would even go to a local networking event because I wanted people to know what I was doing. And I would have an aerobic heartbeat just waiting for them to call my name to speak for that 30 seconds about who I am and what I do. And what I decided to do was, once again, that was my brick wall. I had that fear of public speaking shaking in my boots waiting. So I actually joined Toastmasters in order to get more comfortable speaking in front of a group of people and being able to not only share a presentation that I had prepared, but also some on the spot, unprepared presentations as well. So that when you and I are having this conversation, Roger, I'm not tripping all over myself. And I will say that Toastmasters was the best thing that I could have done to be able to get in front of other people. From there, I then started talking at local Rotary groups or other service organizations because they're local. It gives you a chance to try out your new talk. And that Rotary and service organizations, they need to bring in a new presenter every single week. So it's a great way to get started. And if you start doing that, then what you want to ask at the end is, who else do you know that might be interested in the topic that I'm offering?
So that is perfect. I've done Toastmasters, love Toastmasters. I likewise learned a lot from Toastmasters. The speaking that I've done for a period of my career was actually traveling and doing speaking 40 weekends out of the year.
I'm
So that
sorry to
was,
hear that.
oh no, I loved it. It was great.
Really?
I've got amazing memories with that. So speaking in front of a classroom, a group, a keynote
Mhm.
address, very, very familiar to me. But the advice I would give is that when on stage, regardless of the size of the audience, I have found that those nervous feelings that you're feeling before you step out on stage don't go away until you stop thinking about yourself and you start paying attention to those that you're there addressing. And once it becomes about them, no longer about you, I find that that's when that relief comes and I'm able to get right into the moment and enjoy the experience and make the most of it. But until I let go of myself, is there something in my teeth? Is there something odd with my wardrobe? As that paranoia just builds and builds and builds, I don't want to trip when I'm walking out on stage, all those things. Once I can get past all of that and I can pay attention now to the audience, I have found that that's that breakthrough moment where all of a sudden I kind of get into that
Mhm.
vibe, that element, and then I'm able to deliver. So yeah, great advice on Toastmasters, by the
Yeah,
way.
I'd actually like to tell you what my breakthrough was. It's a little bit
Please.
different. As I was going through this and I was speaking, what I realized my resistance was being in front of a group of people and that they would be judging me and criticizing me. So I saw it
Mm,
as me against them, that they
yeah.
were looking for fault in me. But what I realized is that when you're in the audience and you see someone a little bit nervous on stage, you're actually rooting for them to be able to get past themselves and be able to deliver what they're there to and meant to deliver. And once I realized that I was in alignment with the audience, we both wanted the same thing, then part of that fear of speaking resistance went away.
That's I love it. That is wonderful. All right, so I've got another question.
Mhm.
This may be the last one. We'll see. But
Okay.
my question is, being a business owner, running your business as you have for these number of years, going out there and having that entrepreneurial spirit. I'm just curious, how has your life been bettered by that and improved? What's something that you're grateful for that is a reflection of this experience that you've been on?
Well, I've realized that I'm not employable. So let's start with that.
Okay. That's a
Because
good understanding to have of oneself. All right.
I come from a family of entrepreneurs. And what I realized is I like doing things my own way. I used to be much more of a control freak than I am now. Where when Steve and I had our own agency with 11 people, I ended up working in a satellite office because I wanted to do things my way and nobody else could do it to the same degree that I could. Some people could do customer service really well. Some people could do the admin part really well, but they couldn't do both. And I didn't want to lower the quality of services for our clients. I wanted them to have a great client experience. So I realized I don't play very well with other people, or at least I didn't do that as well then. I'm much better now. I'm still recovering though. I'll admit that. So what I have found is that by doing this, I have been able to go from having a business that Steve and I owned where I burned out because I worked too many hours for not enough money. And really, not only did I pay the price of working too much, I found that my family paid the price also because I wasn't available for the weekend sporting events or I couldn't do some other social activities. I didn't work out at the gym as much as I should have. We all paid the price and I couldn't do that any longer. So After about 12 years of working side by side with Steve in our agency, that's when I pivoted to moving in this direction. And this was intentional to have a business that supported my life because I already had the business that sucked the life out of me. I never, ever, ever wanted that again. The other thing that I did with this business is it's completely virtual as opposed to the previous one we had, which was local. And because of that, I can work from anywhere in the world, and I have tested it, my clients could be anywhere in the world, and it's all good. It doesn't matter. So I now have a business that supports my lifestyle instead of one that drains the life out of me.
I like it. It's liberating when we actually get to work to live rather than live to work. So
Yes.
yes, I hear exactly what you're saying. That's wonderful. All right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to kind of wrap things up. I'm going to summarize a little bit of the highlights that I've taken from the conversation today, and then come back to you for a closing thought. Before I begin with that, I'd like to actually have the listeners hear of some offers that are available to you to go to the episode description and take advantage of these. The first thing is that Loren has actually provided a free resource. It's a 10 steps package or 10 steps to package and price your services that you can go to the episode description and see the link that she's provided, wherein you can go there and actually take advantage of this free resource and utilize it in your business. The other is actually some information regarding strategic selling, how you can literally gain the confidence that you're needing to applying the principles from cut to the chase. And it's enabling you to literally go out there and get what you deserve as you're offering these quality accounting services. So check out what that involves by going to the episode description and get those valuable resources there for you to work on your business and improve your offerings so that you can actually, in fact, get paid what you're worth. Now, with that being said, I do want to summarize a few of the things that we discussed today, just because I thought this was a great conversation, particularly about moving away from hourly to value-based pricing. I do know that this is still a common conversation that many people have as they struggle with actually charging more, getting paid better. And it's that process of how do you implement it? And she shared this 3-step tiered process that I think makes perfect sense of literally taking what your current pricing point is, and with 3 new clients, 1.5xing that, doubling it, tripling it. And in doing so, get the confidence to literally go out there and get paid what you're worth. And I think that's an excellent strategy to implement in that evolution. The other thing I really appreciated was the fact that we were able to talk about the mindset associated with getting paid what we're worth, that sometimes it's a restriction that we're placing on ourselves, and we have to have that breakthrough to realize that we are in fact worth it. But at the same time, we've got to do a better job of articulating the value of what it is we bring to our clients so that they can see the worth in what we're doing, so that they can feel comfortable about paying what we're asking. And in that process, we'll actually be able to get what we deserve. The other thing that I thought was helpful is addressing this situation regarding what we were referring to as legacy clients. How do you go back to those clients that you have a relationship with and change this relationship where you're actually charging more? And in that process, get paid, again, what you're worth. And she gave some great examples of how we can go about that so that we can actually meet with them, offer this new pricing, and get paid that new amount. So lots of great insights there. I really appreciate her perspective. She comes with a great deal of enthusiasm, great energy for the conversation today. So, Loren, thank you for being here. What closing thought do you have?
I believe that if this is something you want to do, you want to take the mindset of athletes as opposed to business owners. Athletes, they get someone on the outside helping them as peewees, whether it's a mentor, a coach, a trainer, in order to really achieve their peak potential. And that as business owners, I know that you love serving your clients, but asking for help yourself might feel a little bit uncomfortable. Get out of your own way. Follow the mindset of athletes in order to really grow your dream firm.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right, everyone, this has been great. If you haven't already, definitely subscribe to the podcast. Get the notifications set so that you can be notified of each and every week the new episodes that are being released. It's here that we have the guests come on and share their expertise and help us understand what we can be doing to better work on our business. It's at the same time that you can also go back and listen to past episodes and see what other topics we've addressed so that you can, in fact, get the information you're needing to work on your business. So definitely subscribe, go back and listen to the past episodes and be ready to hear each and every week, these new episodes as they come out. Also, check the episode descriptions for the offers that were there. You can find great resources, free resources that you can take advantage of as you're working on your business. And I would encourage you to take advantage of those in the episode description. Also, look into attending and joining us for GrowCon. It's an annual event for owners of accounting firms. This is a conference you don't want to miss where we actually work on your business, addressing topics that, like here on the podcast, address the marketing, selling, pricing, the services you're providing, the client relations that you have, all to ensure that you can, in fact, build the premier accounting firm. In addition to this, if you have any questions about these principles and would like to apply them in your business, feel free to give us a phone call. You can reach us at 801-265-3777, as well as visit us online at universalaccountingschool.com. And always remember this, accounting success is universal. Take care, have a great day, and be safe out there, everyone.